Hello, everybody. I wanted to walk through the Chapter 7 tableau assignment. And we have some of the better questions here about whether or not the freezers are staying within tolerance, within temperature, how many times the doors open, and that sort of thing. So but some of the techniques you haven't seen before, so I wanted to walk you through that. Okay, let's try. The first two questions are about how many times was the door opened. So on average, both of them, and the second one on a particular day. All right, let's look at that. So we want an average per day. So we're going to have to convert this to just, we want to look at individual days. Okay, and then I took my activity ID, which was alphanumeric here, and I made a copy of it by right-clicking and make a copy, duplicate. And when I got the copy, I dragged the copy down into the measures, which will convert it to a number, yes or no. So was the door open, yes or no? Up here, it's not in numeric format, but down here it is. So now I'm going to take that and drag it into the days. So now each day has a count. And I can change this to a table if I prefer to see it that way. And I think I might like to see it go vertical so that's not running off the screen there for you. Okay, so now we're going to do something we haven't done before. Instead of trying to summarize it at the variable level, we're going to use the analysis tab up here. Now we're going to go to totals. And we want the column, because I've got a column format. I want the grand totals. All right. I might like it at the top, but it doesn't really matter whether it's on the top. You can scroll down and you can see us down there. All right. And so now we want the average, right? So we're going to go back up. Now that we have a total, first you have to create the total. Now we're going to go back to totals. And now there's a new thing that was grayed out before, but we can use it now and say, give me the average. So now when I scroll down, I can see that the average number of times that the door is opened is 41.6. And just notice, and this is something that with a very large data set, you couldn't visually inspect and see. You'd have to run a query or run an analysis here and create a visual. But look at the difference. Some days it's 2, some days it's 92. That's a lot of variation in how many times the door gets opened. And that would be something that would go on a dashboard and you'd want to follow up on. That's a wide range. So the next two, we're going to look at temperature, highest average temperature for a particular freezer, and then which freezer has an overall average. All right, let's look at freezer temperature. All right, let's start with dates. And we want days, and then temperature. All right, and we want that temperature average. And now we just want the one freezer. I kind of prefer the dollar to numeric rather than the box. And the highest. All right, there we go. So 6.714%. I think they just wanted 2 decibels, so 6.71. All right, and now we want both freezers. So we don't need to filter out. We need both freezers. We don't want it by day, we just want the overall average. And so the one that has the 83% is your freezer number 2. So now we have 2 more analysis on freezer. On what date was freezer 2 minus 3.63? And it gives us a hint to use the minimum. And then what's the highest temperature for freezer 2? Use the max. All right, let's do that. All right, so let's work on temperature. Put the date up here. Actually, I think I want it in columns. All right, and I want the day. And then I want the temperature. and I want the minimum. And I want for freezer 2. All right, let's look at the chart there. Okay, now let's look at the smallest, and it looks like it's 3.63, and that's July 3rd. So that was a weird day, wasn't it? Okay, so now we can use the same thing to get the maximum. Which is 11. They don't ask you the date on that, but it looks like 11 degrees. Now, how many minutes was the freezer open? And then how many on a particular day? That funny, whatever, July 3rd was an unusual day, wasn't it? Okay, let's look at that. All right. All right, let's look at our 2 freezers here. And then we want minutes opened. All right. And so freezer 1, 3,000. That's a lot more than freezer 2, isn't it? All right. And so now we can put a date and select just July 3rd. Okay, so then freezer 1 on July 3rd would be the 272.8. So now we're going to do something interesting. We're going to look at when the result is more than 100 minutes. So this is getting into out of tolerance, but something is above or below some sort of cutoff or boundary. And then in what month did the freezer get to a certain level? That could also be a boundary issue. All right, let's try that. All right, in this case, we want to look at months. Excuse me, we want days. And we want to see it by a particular freezer, so you can do one or both. But of course, you know, just to look at the one. In fact, we could put that up here if we wanted. And now, how many minutes opened? So now we have a cool trick you haven't seen before. Let's go down here to this, add up all the minutes. And we're going to go to a filter. And look, we can do at least or at most. See how you can get everything that's below a certain level or above a certain level. So let's go above a certain level. And that level they wanted was 100. And now we can hit OK. And we wanted it for freezer 01. So this gives us the total number of minutes, but not the number of days. So I'm going to go up here and change the visual. And now I can see that that number of minutes is spread across 3 days. 1, 2, 3. See the 3 individual dates? Okay. So let's see how many months the temperature went over 20, which would be really bad for a freezer. All right, so we want months. And then we want activity down here. Yes or no. And then temperature. And we want to filter this to be at least 20. Actually, I think we want that activity in the chart. There we go. Okay, so what month was there 4 instances, 4 counts of the temperature being above 20? And you can see it's December. And I think we just have 1 year. December 2020. There you go.